What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 101. Episode 100 will be coming to you at some point, but right now we wanted to get online here and give you guys an episode breaking down every major league team's offseason. We hope you've enjoyed the offseason. We've been taking some time to rest and relax after a very great 2023 season, but it is now 2024. The 2024 season is officially upon us. The league will be opening up soon, and we will be having all of the festivities and State of the League address coming to you very soon. With me tonight to talk about all of the offseason moves, Jason Ashby. Jason, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing well, sir. It's been a while, and I'm glad to be back. Yeah, man, it's 2024 already. I cannot believe that we're here. Like, leagues have already started opening, mock drafts are up, and yet, and we'll talk about it. There are still a number of big time free agents that are still just kind of hanging out in limbo. Spring training is what, less than a month away, and we still have some big names hanging out there. So it's going to be a wild, couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, pitchers and catchers report in exactly 1 month. And spring training will begin almost immediately afterwards. It's going to be a crazy season, and we shall see what will come of it. But let's dive right into this show here and get this thing going. We're going to start with the AL East. We're going to break it down team by team, and we'll tell you exactly who's outgoing off of the team, who they've signed, any trades that have happened. And then we'll talk about what we think the team needs. So we'll start with the Baltimore Orioles, who won the AL East last year. Outgoing free agents, Jack Flaherty, Kyle Gibson, Aaron Hicks, Adam Frazier, and Shintaro Fujinami. So a couple of guys that they got during the season in Flaherty, Hicks, and Fujinami, and then guys on, expiring deals. They did sign Craig Kimbrell, 1 year, $13 million with a club option for 2025. That's going to be replacing Felix Bautista, who's out for the season with arm surgery. That's fun. They traded for a relief pitcher from Kansas City for a nobody, and they still, to me, need a starting pitcher. Jason, how are you seeing Baltimore at this point?
Yeah, I agree. Looking at their top five on roster resource right now, they have Kyle Bradish as their number one. I'd be a little worried about that. Like, he had a good 2023, but that's it. Grayson Rodriguez is the number two, and he's had one season. He was up and down last year. John Means is coming back from Tommy John. He pitched a little bit last year, but he's really had the better part of 2 seasons off, recuperating from Tommy John. And then you got guys like Dean Kramer and Cole Irvin and Mike Bauman, and yeah, I think they need to go out and get, it doesn't have to be the top of the line Blake Snell or even Jordan Montgomery, but somebody to anchor that rotation.
Yeah, there's got to be some pitchers left on the free agency list that they can go out and sign. There's also rumors of them being involved in a Dylan Cease trade, which I wouldn't necessarily hate.
Yep.
But definitely before the start of spring training, I'd like to see them bring in one, maybe even two arms just to solidify that rotation, give them a veteran presence around these young kids who are starting to grow into their own here.
Yeah, I'm seeing, maybe even somebody like a James Paxton or a Hyunjin Ryu, like just a seasoned veteran that can help these young kids, because this entire rotation is young. That's what you had Kyle Gibson last year, and the year before I think it was Jordan Lyles. Like, they had these kind of like 1 year veteran guys to kind of help anchor these young guys. Bring in a Michael Lorenzen, somebody like that to kind of help these young guys out.
Yeah. Yeah. Just somebody to eat up some innings and take the weight off of this young group. We're going to move on. We'll move on to the Boston Red Sox. They're outgoing free agents. The aforementioned James Paxton finds himself here. Adam Duvall, Adalberto Mondesi, Justin Turner, Corey Kluber, and Joely Rodriguez. So a couple of pitchers, much of the offense, and Adalberto Mondesi, who never saw the field for them. They did, however, sign Lucas Giolito, 2 years, $38.5 million. So there's a replacement for somebody like Paxton or Kluber that's going to eat up some innings and strike some dudes out. But it gets really interesting when you take a look at what they've done in the trade market. First, the big one, they sent Alex Verdugo to the Yankees for 3 pitchers. So Verdugo no longer in their outfield. They traded Luis Urias to Seattle to get a reliever. They traded a reliever named Nick Robertson and a starting pitcher, Victor Santos, to St. Louis. They replaced Alex Verdugo with Tyler O'Neill. It's an interesting swap. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yep.
And then honestly, the big trade of the offseason so far, Chris Sale to Atlanta for Vaughn Grissom. Where do you want to start with this?
Yeah, let's talk about their pitching real quick because basically they swapped out Chris Sale for Lucas Giolito in the rotation because otherwise the rotation is they lost Paxton, but Paxton wasn't really too much of a factor. He's been hurt a lot. The rotation is still pretty much the same as it was. Nick Pivetta, Brian Bayou, Carter Crawford, Tanner Houck. I know they've been rumored to still be in the market for another pitcher, whether it be a reunion with James Paxton or something like that. I mean, hearing kind of different reports that some say they're still in the market, some say they're not going to make any more moves. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there because I think they need another arm.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well. And maybe a right-handed hitting outfielder. I just found it interesting that they traded away their best pitcher in Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom, where is he going to play? Is he going to be their second baseman, or is
He's
he
going to be the
going?
second baseman. Trevor Story goes back to shortstop.
That makes sense. They've got a nice middle infield that they can work around, and this kid's got a real bat, so he might be a sleeper at second base this year.
Absolutely, I think he absolutely is a fresh start. In Atlanta, he was kind of, I won't say blocked, but there were too many expectations to succeed. There are in Boston too, but I feel like it was a little bit more in Atlanta. Here he can kind of just be buried in the bottom of the order and just let him do his thing.
Let him figure it out.
Yeah, the right-handed outfield. I think they need another right-handed outfielder bat. They brought in Tyler O'Neill, but they still have Jaron Duran and Yoshida and Wiley or Abreu. All three of those guys are left-handed. So I think they need to find a
They
Michael
could bring back
Taylor.
JD. They could bring back JD Martinez and make him the DH, and then you've got your problem solved.
Yeah,
Or they could go find. They could certainly be in the market for a guy like Jorge Soler.
I know they've been talking about reuniting with Adam Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's something coming for them. It's just it could be any of those guys.
Could be anything. New York Yankee fans, perk your ears up. We're going to talk about your terrible team who finished 4th in the division last year. They're outgoing free agents this year: Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Keenan Middleton, Luis Severino, Wandy Peralta, Frankie Montas, Zach McAllister, Albert Abreu, Lou Trevino, and Luke Weaver. Whole lot of pitching, and some of it wasn't even all that great. Like Frankie Montas was a disaster for them. Lou Trevino, Albert Abreu, and Wandy Peralta and Keenan Middleton are some bullpen pieces. So you would think that they would need to get more of those in line here. But the only signing they've made so far is Marcus Stroman, 2 years, $37 million with a vesting option for 2026. Back to New York, to the other side of the tracks, as they say, for Marcus Stroman after his time in Queens. How you feel seeing our guy in pinstripes?
I mean, I think it makes sense. I know he liked pitching for the Mets so that he could play in New York, but then he also hated playing for the Mets. So I think this makes sense. I think it made sense from the very beginning. The Yankees needed another pitcher. He's not the ace, or even he could be number 2, but he's a stabilizing presence who can eat up innings, and he's durable. So I think he's a good fit there.
So their rotation now is Cole, him, Rodon, Nestor, and Clark Schmidt.
Correct.
I could live with that if I'm a Yankee fan.
It's not awful.
Yeah.
I don't. I know they're still talking about Blake Snell. I mean, look, obviously that would be a game changer. I don't know that they need That I feel like they could probably go out and get, more of a depth piece to go along with these five,
Yeah.
but it's the Yankees, so who knows?
I mean, they emptied out their farm system. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. In fact, let's dive into it now. Estevan Florial gets traded to Cleveland for a reliever in Cody Morris. So there's a guy to replace, any one of those relievers that came along. They traded shortstop Trey Sweeney to the Dodgers for Victor Gonzalez and Jorbit Vivas. He's an infielder, but Victor Gonzalez we're familiar with as a left-handed reliever. There's another guy to replace some of those guys that have gone away.
Yep.
They traded 3 minor league starting pitchers to Boston for Alex Verdugo. We just talked about that, but Verdugo, left-handed bat, pretty decent bat in the middle of that lineup is going to be a lot of fun, especially when we talk about the fact that they went ahead and got Juan Soto and Trent Grisham from San Diego for Kyle Higashioka, Michael King, Johnny Burrito, Randy Vasquez, and Drew Thorpe. 5 players to go get Soto and Grisham. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I think we really got to see what happens at the end of the season to see if they re-sign Soto or if they gave up these 5 players and some of them young and up and coming for 1 year of Juan Soto.
Yeah. 1 year is what they've got right now, and then he goes to free agency. He already turned down almost $500 million from the Nationals to sign in order to get to free agency. So I don't think the Yankee money is going to be any different color than the Nationals money. So we'll see what happens there. By the way, really fun fact. You remember Oscar Gonzalez that we were all sort of really excited about out of Cleveland last year?
Yep.
Yeah, the Yankees claimed him off of waivers and then designated him for assignment. So he's getting churned through the process.
They DFA'd him to make room for Luke Weaver,
who left the team and now he's back.
And he came back they signed him to I think it was a 1 year $2 million deal or something like that. So he's in camp with them, but he's probably nothing more than a long reliever or something like that.
Yeah. And as far as what they need, I still think they need a bullpen arm or two. I really don't trust the back end of this bullpen with Clay Holmes. I really don't.
Yeah. I've read that, they are content with Clay Holmes back there, but yeah, I mean, you have Clay Holmes and Jonathan Loáisiga and Tommy Kahnle, and I guess Ian Hamilton is kind of like your top henchmen in that bullpen. I think they need something else. The Verdugo thing is interesting. I'm going to be interested to see how they manipulate this lineup going forward, because I've been hearing that Stanton may actually get some reps in the outfield this year still, that he's healthy. It's January,
best shape of his life alert. Best shape of his life alert. It's Giancarlo Stanton. Here we go again.
Yeah, we haven't heard this before, right? But I think because man, you have to be able to get Trent Grisham in the lineup. He's such a good glove out there in center field, and you're gonna have Aaron Judge play center field. He can do it, but he can't do it as well as Trent Grisham.
I don't think you necessarily have to do that. I think you could deploy Judge in right, Soto in left, Grisham in center, and Stanton as the DH.
And then Verdugo hits the bench. So somebody's going to be benched that shouldn't be benched.
Ooh, yeah, that's an interesting.
Yeah,
I think Stanton might be losing playing time.
I think Stanton needs to get hurt is what has to happen, and it will, because this is the world we live in. So when he gets hurt, then you can have Judge as a DH or something like that, and then you can deploy the outfield as you should.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. So then Verdugo has to play right and Judge has to play center most days if you want to get the best batting lineup in.
Yeah. Right now,
they went from having too many infielders to having now too many outfielders.
Yeah. Right now, their starting lineup against right-handers, according to Roster Resource, you got DJ LeMahieu at third, Juan Soto in right, Aaron Judge in center, Rizzo at first, Glaber at second, Verdugo in left, Stanton DH, Volpe, and Austin Wells. Man, that's another thing, is they're catching. Austin Wells and Jose Trevino are their.
Gotta believe in the young kid to get the reps. That's their young. Austin Wells is their young kid to get the reps, and Trevino for what he was worth when he was healthy in 2021. I think he put up a nice year.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
it was
guess he's kind of
22.
the veteran backup, but we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see how that plays out.
yeah. Let's move on to the Tampa Bay Rays, my friend. And the Rays have themselves an interesting offseason. Take everything you know about Wander Franco and throw it out the window and go
Uh-huh.
ahead and just Google his name. He ain't going to be playing baseball anytime soon. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Outgoing free agents Robert Stevenson, Jake Diekman, Chris Davinsky, and Cooper Criswell, 4 guys from their bullpen. They signed Chris Davinsky back 1 year, $1.1 million. Their real moves, though, this year have been in the trade market. Not surprisingly, Tyler Glasnow does get moved before they have to pay him $25 million for this season. Him and Manuel Margot off to the Dodgers for Ryan Pepio and Johnny DeLuca. Did they get good value? And is Johnny DeLuca now a sleeper?
He could be. Look, he's a right-handed hitting outfielder who's at the very least going to replace Margot. And he's a young kid. I like this move for the Rays. The Rays know how to make these moves. Look, they did the same thing with Randy Rosarena, right? So this could be just another one of those deals.
They also traded away Luke Raley for infielder Jose Caballero. He is a shortstop by trade, and is unsurprising that they went and got that guy. They also traded Andrew Kittredge to St. Louis for infielder outfielder Richie Palacios. Sounds like just a utility dude that's going to fill that Joey Wendell, Ben Zobrist kind of role.
He's slated right now, according to Roster Resource, to be the starting DH.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Rays. We're not going to have a real role for that. It's just another bat in the
Right.
lineup.
Everybody is going to be in and out of the lineup. We know how the Rays work.
Yeah. To me, their needs, they definitely do need a better DH than Richie Palacios. I don't think that's but I don't know that they're going to go out and sign somebody like JD Martinez to do that for them. I also say they need a new shortstop because Wander Franco ain't it, but
yeah. I mean, Caballero could be something. He's 27 already, so like I feel like if you're gonna get anything out of him, it's got to be now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like he's not gonna replace what Wander Franco used to do, but I mean he's serviceable.
I do look
Yeah,
forward to seeing their young kid Junior Caminero play. He might be the next of that young crop of guys to come out and really ball out this year.
yeah, absolutely. I love the addition of Ryan Pepio to that rotation. I think that this is going to be the Rays finding another young pitcher that didn't have a spot with the Dodgers and make something out of him.
Yeah. If he could throw 140 innings of good baseball, it'll be a tremendous trade for them.
Yep.
Moving on to the Toronto Blue Jays to finish up the AL East, their outgoing free agents Jordan Hicks, Matt Chapman, Hyunjin Ryu, Brandon Belt, Kevin Kiermaier, Adam Simber, and Whit Merrifield. The only thing they've done in free agency, sign Isaiah Kiner-Falefa 2 years, $15 million, and sign a Cuban import Yariel Rodriguez. He's a pitcher. Don't know if he's going to be in the bullpen or if he's going to be in the rotation. That's to be determined. But 4 years, $32 million for that guy. They haven't made any trades. Man, I think they need a bat in a hurry.
They also did bring back Kevin Kiermaier for a 1 year, $10.5 million. Yeah. Him and we'll get to it, but him and Harrison Bader signed the exact same contract, which is interesting because they're the same player.
Essentially, yeah, they're glove first outfielders.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say here their needs.
Yeah, their second baseman is Davis Schneider. Like they need a bat. They need a bat in a hurry.
Yeah, something better than Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Like,
yeah.
But man,
because what? That's now your new starting third baseman. Is Kiner-Falefa?
They have right now against righties. It's gonna be Kevin Biggio.
Okay.
Yeah, but still not.
Yeah, that guy's gonna play somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like they could go and get like, I don't know, Adam Frazier maybe, or like. I mean, I know
will Tim Anderson play second base?
Huh?
If Tim Anderson will play second base, it's a good fit.
Yeah, Yeah, I could do that. Ahmed Rosario, he can play second base.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah,
It's better than what they have currently. Davis Schneider. Not
yeah.
really down on that guy.
Um, and I think the wild card for this team is going to be has to be Alek Manoah, right?
No doubt.
Like, what do you do with this guy? I think you have to start the season with him and see what happens. But
Hmm.
by like end of April, if he's still like what he was in 2023, you got to do something.
Yeah, you got to send him back down to the minors or just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I do like Manoa late as a flyer, but I don't know how late he's gonna go.
yeah. It's gonna be really interesting to see. He might be like, to me, one of the biggest wild cards in the league.
No
Like,
doubt.
because we've seen he's a Cy Young candidate, but also he's also a 4A player.
Abysmal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, let's move on to the AL Central. We're going to start with the Chicago White Sox, who have had a busy offseason. Their outgoing free agents Jose Urania, Elvis Andrus, Tyler Naquin, Brian Shaw, Tim Anderson, Liam Hendricks, and Mike Clevenger. Free agency, they went and got Paul DeYoung to play shortstop, 1 year, 1.75 million. Eric Fetty, former national, coming back from Korea, signs with the White Sox, 2 years, 15 million. Martin Maldonado is now their catcher, 1 year, $4.25 million. Tim Hill in their bullpen, 1 year, 1.8 million. Chris Flexen, 1 year, 1.75 million. And just recently, John Brebbia, 1 year, $4 million with a $6 million mutual option for next year. In the trade market, they got rid of Aaron Bummer, and somehow they got 5 dudes out of the Braves for this. They got Mike Soroka, Jared Schuster, Nicky Lopez, Braden Shoemake, and a minor leaguer named Riley Goins. They got 5 dudes for Aaron Bummer.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, this is the Braves, man. They trade out their depth for a piece that they feel like they need. And I mean, because I think Bummer is locked up for another like 2 or 3 years at least. So
Yeah,
yeah, so this is the Braves.
amazing, amazing. They also acquired Max Stassi for cash and a player to be named later. So there's your other catcher with Martin Maldonado. Needs, I think they need to trade Dylan Cease. I think at this point you've pretty much said that this is going to get blown up. You're going to build around, I guess, Eloy and Lubob and go for the and hope for the best there.
Yeah. I know they were trying to trade Eloy and that went cold.
Mm-hmm.
Um I yeah, this team I think this team is about to hit the real skids for probably a couple of few years.
And it's crazy because it wasn't that long ago that we were like, "Ooh, the White Sox are coming.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're coming real." Like it was them and the Blue Jays that we were like, "These two teams are going to be great." And the Blue
Yeah.
Jays took off, and the White Sox did not.
No. I mean, also like their bullpen. I mean, Gregory Santos is like their closer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. And Garrett Crochet is still out there, right?
they have Garrett Crochet.
That's the
He's
guy I
pegged
like
as
out there.
he's pegged as a long man.
Hmm.
John Brebbia is probably also another long man. Or opener, like multi
Right,
role guy,
right.
Um yeah, I don't know. They have Tuki Toussaint. Um Maybe that's something, but yeah, this team,
We shall see. They've got some work to do, and it is not, and it seems like it's going to be a long season in the South Side.
yeah.
We move on to Cleveland here, and their outgoing free agents: Ronaldo Lopez, Lucas Giolito, Cole Calhoun, and Cam Gallagher. So they lose the former Angel White Sox duo and an outfielder and a catcher. Their free agency, they signed Austin Hedges back 1 year, $4 million. So welcome back to Cleveland. And they went and got starting pitcher Ben Lively 1 year, $750,000. They're not breaking the bank this year.
No,
No,
no, not even for Cleveland.
no, no. They did trade away guy Enyel De Los Santos to San Diego and got Scott Barlow. They traded Cal Quantrill to Colorado for a catcher that nobody's going to know about. And they traded Cody Morris to New York for outfielder Estevan Florial. Seems like more of this kind of Cleveland way of doing things. We're going to take your old prospect that you gave up on and give you somebody controllable for a couple of years and see what happens.
Yeah, because we can't afford him to do anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they need a shortstop. I really don't know that because like what is it right now? Is it
Brian Rucchio, however you say his
sure?
name.
So they
Yeah,
need a real shortstop. Tim Anderson seems to fit here too
yeah.
if he takes a 1-year minimal amount of money
Or
deal.
like Mondesi maybe, like
Another good one. Yeah.
take like a flyer on a bounce back for him. You
Hmm.
know,
They also
uh,
need Kyle Manzardo to be the real deal. Do you know who Kyle Manzardo is?
I do because I'm looking at it, and he is apparently their starting first baseman, who is like never played in the major leagues. That they got him from Tampa Bay. I don't remember the
The
trade.
Savali trade.
Yes, that's right.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
this kid is supposed to be a real power hitting first baseman. They really didn't have a spot for him with Yandy Diaz there. It's kind
okay,
of the same thing that happened with Nathaniel Lowe when he went to Texas.
yeah.
They just don't have a spot for this guy, so they move off of him. But they got a pretty good piece in Savali. Manzardo's got a hit though. This team needs a bat to go with Jose Ramirez, and they have not yet found it. We've gone through Franmil Reyes and Oscar Gonzalez and
I
Ahmed
mean, they're
Rosario, Andres Jimenez. Like
yeah. I
that's
mean, they're
not.
trying with Josh Naylor is trying, but he need. I think he needs to take a step forward here. If
Mhm.
like 25 bombs at least, like do something legit to show that you are a real middle of the order threat. Because right
Mhm.
now he's just I mean he's slated to hit cleanup, but I don't look at him as a cleanup hitter.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like it's going to be another disappointing year for Cleveland. I mean, they made a run last year, but I think this team is starting to fall back behind the rest of the division.
They're gonna live and die by their pitching.
Absolutely.
Bieber
As
and
long as
McKenzie.
Shane Bieber's on the team, they might trade him too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We move to Detroit, and this is the team that I'm really looking forward to watching this year, surprisingly enough, the Detroit Tigers. Outgoing free agents Matthew Boyd, Jose Cisnero, Austin Meadows, and Spencer Turnbull. They signed Kenta Maeda in free agency, 2 years, $24 million. Andrew Chafin, 1 year, $4.75 million with a club option for next year. Jack Flaherty, 1 year, $14 million, and Shelby Miller, 1 year, $3.25 million with a club option for 25. They traded some prospect to Milwaukee for Mark Canna, and they need Javi Baez to either quit or get better and a second baseman.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, it's been a struggle there. In Detroit for to
Mm-hmm.
find a true second baseman. They had Jonathan Scope for a while. They need
Who's
somebody for
slated there
real.
currently?
Uh, right now it'll be Zach McKinstry and Andy Ibanez.
Okay, sure. Maybe those guys are something. I hope there's something.
I feel like they're more role players, that
Yeah.
because they can play multiple positions. So those are guys you bounce around the diamond.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if because you're right, Detroit is looking like it could be an interesting team this year, especially with the rest of the division not looking all that great.
Right.
I think by June or July, if they're in this thing, they gotta start making moves.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, their bullpen. I think shore up the bullpen. Chafin was a great add, but I think adding another reliever to that mix would be just big for them. Reese Olson is their number 5 starter right now. I don't
That
know.
kid's
Maybe that's
good. That kid's
yeah,
good. Don't
yeah,
sleep on that
okay,
kid. He's a good young prospect. You brought in Kenta Maeda and Jack Flaherty as veteran presences in that lineup. Tariq Skubal had a great year. Casey Mize is coming back from Tommy John. Matt Manning is still there for whatever he's worth. And then there's Reese Olson. I think Reese Olson has a spot here. And
yeah.
I think he's gonna surprise you.
All right, then deal one of those other guys and get yourself a bona fide hitter. Kerry Carpenter is due to hit cleanup in this lineup.
Yeah,
Like
it's not good. That's
that's
not
not
good.
good.
JD Martinez would be a great fit there too.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
We move to Kansas City. this is another team that's going to be interesting this year. I still think they're a year or two away,
Okay.
but they made some interesting moves this year to start pushing forward a little bit here. Outgoing free agents: Brad Keller, Matt Duffy, Zach Greinke, and Josh Staumont. Nobody there of any note. Staumont used to be somebody, but he's not anymore.
No.
The free agents they signed: Garrett Hampson, 1 year, $2 million. Relief pitcher Will Smith, not the guy who slapped Chris Rock or the catcher in Los Angeles, but the relief pitcher now in Kansas City, 1 year, $5 million. Chris Stratton, 1 year, $3.5 million with a player option for 2025. Seth Lugo, 3 years, $45 million with an opt out after the second season. So he can get the full 3 years and $45 million, or if he balls out after the second year, opt out and go get yourself another contract.
Yep.
Michael Wacha, 1 year, $16 million with a player option of $16 million for 2025. And Hunter Renfroe, 1 year, $5.5 million with a $7.5 million player option for 2025. They traded Jackson Kowar, who is a starting pitcher prospect, to Atlanta to get Nick Anderson and starting pitcher Kyle Wright, who is on the injured list for the season. They traded away Dylan Coleman to Houston for some starting pitcher named Carlos Mateo. I think they need a third baseman, maybe a DH. What say you, Jason?
First of all, these moves that they've made are like very Kansas City Royal type moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is them saying, yeah, we want to compete, but we can't go after the top guys, so we're gonna get Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, and Hunter Renfroe to like just bolster our team. But yeah, Nelson Velasquez as the starting DH isn't great. And Michael Garcia, look, this kid could be something. He's got the tools. He just needs to like hone
Maybe
it
he
in.
needs the time. Maybe he really needs the time.
Yeah. So like, yeah, this could be like a, I don't know, bring Mike Moustakis back or something like that, to like hold it down. Gio Urshela is another interesting candidate there who can kind of bounce around.
Or you bring back Mondesi and move Bobby Witt to third.
Yeah. But I tell you what, Bobby Witt's defense at short has gotten so much better. I don't think
Really?
I don't think he's going anywhere off of short.
Okay. The least active team of the offseason this year has been the Minnesota Twins. Their outgoing free agents: Emilio Pagan, Tyler Mahle, Kenta Maeda, Joey Gallo, Dallas Keuchel, Sonny Gray, Michael A. Taylor, and Donovan Solano. They signed Josh Staumont, 1 year, $950,000. They have made no trades. They have done nothing other than that. They lost 3/5 of their rotation and have done nothing. They lost 2 pieces of their bullpen and 2 outfielders. They've done nothing.
Yeah.
And this speaks to more if you have the MLB at bat app and you have the full splay of games, you'll notice that a lot of games are hosted by a company called Bally Sports.
Yeah.
And Bally Sports is going bankrupt. And one of the teams that is most losing in this bankruptcy is the Minnesota Twins.
But I still I feel like, especially in this weak division that they're in, they have enough pieces right now that they're not dying because they can't make moves.
I don't know, man. That rotation looks really fucked up. It's Pablo and Bailey Over and Joe Ryan and Louis Varland and
Chris Paddock.
God, that's awful.
Yeah, they definitely need some pitching. They need some starting pitching. But on the offset, Royce Lewis, if Royce Lewis can stay healthy, like him and Byron Buxton, if those two can stay healthy on the field together, I feel like that could be a real dynamic duo.
Sure. But they've got to stay healthy. They've got to stay healthy together. And then you also have to like count on Carlos Correa on a bounce back and Jorge Polanco on a walk year, I think. And who the hell's playing first for them? Is it Kirilloff?
It is Kirilloff.
Okay, that guy's got to stay healthy too.
Yeah. And
Kepler in the outfield, he's got to stay healthy. I mean, every single position you look at with these guys, you could say
But they
they
have
need to
guys,
stay healthy.
and they have guys like Nick Gordon, Nick Gordon was really
Another
good in
one.
2022. He was battered with injuries last year. He didn't barely even played, but like he can play everywhere, and he can be really good too if he's healthy. Willie
If he's
Castro,
healthy.
same thing. So like they have interesting pieces. It's just they have Simeon Woods Richardson, and he could be an interesting candidate. Coming up. Um, I, yeah, I don't know.
He
Yeah,
was part of the Barrios trade. That was one of the pieces that we sent in the Stroman trade.
correct. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, and so like, I again, this division, there is no front runner in this division, so I feel like the Twins have enough to at least be competitive. They're better than the White Sox. They're better than the Royals. I think they're better than the Guardians.
Yeah. I mean, they should win the division, but I would not be surprised if they finished fourth,
Right. Yep.
if something goes sideways. So
Absolutely.
I don't know. We move to the AL West. We start with the Houston Astros. They have the following outgoing free agents: Phil Maton, Ryan Stanek, Michael Brantley, and Martin Maldonado. Michael Brantley retired this offseason, so bye-bye. Thank you for your service. Nice career. Nice career.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. In free agency, they replaced Martin Maldonado with Victor Caratini, 2 years, $12 million, and then signed, surprisingly, I think, Josh Hader, 5 years, $95 million. I'm not surprised about the money. I'm more surprised that they went and got him when they already have Ryan Presley.
Yeah. I guess, Presley's in a walk year. So I guess this is a way to kind of look, the three-headed monster of Hader, Presley, and Brian Abreu at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure. Like, and I've read that, that the management has talked to Presley about being the setup guy, and he's cool with it. It says walk year, so of course he's gonna be cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
And next year he'll go and sign somewhere else, and Josh Hader will be the closer in Houston for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually quite genius
Mm-hmm.
because it gives them 2024 to have this ridiculous bullpen, and you still have one of the best closers for the next half decade.
Exactly. They did make the one trade we mentioned earlier, Carlos Mateo to Kansas City for Dylan Coleman. So there's a replacement for the bullpen and those pieces of Stanek and Maton that are gone. I don't see a weakness that they need something right now.
No, this seems it's very similar to what they had last year, and they were good enough last year. Like, and imagine like if Hunter Brown and JP France, these guys take a step forward in their second years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this could be a real dangerous team.
I agree. I think they're going to run away with this division, honestly, and at least so far.
Yeah.
Looking at the Los Angeles Angels, probably the team that got punched in the mouth the most by this offseason. They lost the following. Of course, Shohei Ohtani became a free agent. We'll talk about him later. Gio Urshela, Randall Grichuk, CJ Crone, Mike Moustakas, and Jose Marte. In free agency, they went out and they got Zach Plesac 1 year and $1 million. Adam Simber 1 year, $1.65 million. Luis Garcia, the relief pitcher that used to be in San Diego, 1 year, $4.25 million. Adam Kolarek, 1 year, $900,000, and Robert Stevenson, 3 years, $33 million. Those are all pitchers. And then they signed a vet in Hunter Dozier to the minors. So good job replacing Shohei Ohtani with that guy.
Yeah, that should do it.
Yeah, this team's going to suck this year. Like,
Yeah.
out loud and in front of a lot of people, this team is going to suck.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Trout is like, gotta be wondering what the fuck do I gotta do. Taylor Ward is due to hit cleanup in his lineup. Taylor Ward,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
like,
Like, they're going to count on Luis Rengifo a lot this year.
yeah. And and then the young guys, Logan O'Hoppe and Nolan Shanwell and Zach Neto. Like, I mean, there's pieces for the future, but yeah, this year,
This year, they're going to suck. They're going to, unfortunately, they're not going to finish last because they deserve to.
right.
But
But they
we'll
won't
get to
because
that last place team in a minute.
yeah.
They did trade Max Stassi and David Fletcher to Atlanta for first baseman Evan White and relief pitcher Tyler Thomas. Evan White, you'll remember, was signed by Seattle out of Double A before he had ever taken a major league at bat and is not a major leaguer. He's just not.
He's not replacing Shohei.
Right. He's not replacing Shohei either. I feel like they need a miracle. They need Mike Trout to stay healthy. This lineup looks like shit, and the rotation looks even worse.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, Reed Detmers could be something. And then it's
But
Griffin
he could also
Canning.
be nothing. He could also be absolutely nothing. We
Yeah,
haven't seen
yeah,
the Angels come out with an actual viable starting pitching prospect that has actually done something since Jared Weaver.
yeah. In like what 2010 or something like that.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Griffin Canning, Patrick Sandoval, Tyler Anderson. Yeah,
None of these
it's
guys are anything.
no,
Tyler Anderson ain't shit.
no. And I mean, okay, the Robert Stevenson signing was cool to pair with Carlos Estevez at the back of the bullpen, but you ain't winning games, so who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to be bad. And somewhere along the way, somebody's going to have to draft Mike Trout this year. And I don't know where he's going to end up going in
That's
that
another,
draft.
yeah.
But that's a scary dude to actually have to sit there and think about putting on your team now because of injury history and the lack of anyone around him.
Right. Why would you pitch to him?
Exactly. We go to that last place team, Oakland Athletics. They lost Tony Kemp and Trevor May retired. Thank you for your service, Trevor May. We appreciate you. Nice career for him as well.
Yeah.
In free agency, they went even cheaper. I didn't think they possibly could go cheaper than other teams have, but they did. They signed Osvaldo Beto 1 year, $750,000, and Trevor Gott 1 year, $1.5 million. They traded somebody named Chad Patrick to Milwaukee for Abraham Toro. They need money, a new stadium, Vegas, players, and fans. They need all kinds of things.
Yeah, they need to just start over. They did also pick up on waivers. Look, I'm not saying this is anything, but maybe fresh start. I don't know. Is Miguel Andujar? He was once a coming prospect with the Yankees, and
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
starting fresh with a team that is way different than the Yankees. Maybe that's something. But yeah, this
Well,
team
I mean,
is.
here's the thing though. Miguel Andujar was already on a team that was shitty, and that was Pittsburgh, and he didn't do well there.
Maybe he wants to be out west.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's no other way to slice it other than this team is just garbage.
Yeah, they need to. Once they get to Vegas, then we'll be talking about this thing becoming a real franchise again. But for right now, they are keeping costs low, and they are getting ready to move.
Yeah, packing it up.
Moving on to Seattle. The Mariners' outgoing free agents: Dominic Leone, Tom Murphy, Teoscar Hernandez, and large penis Mike Ford. In free agency, they went and got Mitch Garver, 2 years, $24 million, with a $12 million mutual option for a third season. And they signed Austin Voth, 1 year, $1.25 million. But Seattle, they are always trade happy, and this year is no different. They did get Luis Urias from Boston for Isaiah Campbell. They traded Eugenio Suarez to Arizona for a relief pitcher and catcher Sebi Zavala. They traded Jared Kelnick, Evan White, and Marco Gonzalez to Atlanta for Jackson Kawar, that pitcher from Kansas City that I mentioned earlier, and starting pitcher prospect Cole Phillips. They traded infielder Jose Caballero to Tampa for Luke Raley. And finally, they traded Robbie Ray to San Francisco for Anthony DeSclafani and Mitch Haniger. So Mitch Haniger back in Seattle where he had a 40-homer season. Anthony DeSclafani finds himself in a new rotation. This team is going to look completely different. And no Jared Kelnick. So we won that trade. We won the trade.
Thank you, Robinson Cano. Yeah, and what's interesting is roster resource has DeSclafani right now as a long man because the rotation is solid. Before that, what would you have done with Robbie Ray? Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, and Brian Wu. Now you have DeSclafani. Either those two guys, either those two kids in the 4 or 5 don't pan out, but I mean you have to give them a shot. They looked the part, in a cup of coffees last year. So Yeah, interesting moves. Very interesting moves. I love what they're doing in Seattle.
I like Seattle to have another good season. I think they're a wild card team. I think they're gonna do something, but I don't know that they're built for the long haul just yet. We got to let Julio Rodriguez mature a little bit more, get another couple of bats around him because some of these guys aren't so great. Like Mitch
Yeah.
Garver is his cleanup hitter or something.
They have Kyle Raleigh as the cleanup hitter,
Oh,
but
there you go. Yeah.
yeah. But yes, I mean, I feel like Mitch Haniger could get back there too if um and then if they did that and you had Garver batting third, you'd have Mitch and Mitch.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That you got to do that. Got
Yeah.
to have the back-to-back Mitches.
Couple bitches. But yes, second base and third base are an issue for me. Luis
Mm-hmm.
Urias and Josh Rojas as your starters there. But I
Matt
mean,
Chapman. Matt
Matt
Chapman.
Chapman,
Matt Chapman's still a free agent. I think that might be a landing spot.
it makes all the sense in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the World Series champion Texas Rangers. That feels weird to say.
Yeah.
Outgoing free agents, man, this is a laundry list. Jordan Montgomery, Mitch Garver, Chris Stratton, Aroldis Chapman, Jake Odorizzi, Brad Miller, Robbie Grossman, Martin Perez, Will Smith, Ian Kennedy, Matt Bush, and Brett Martin. That's 12 dudes off of a 26-man roster. Bye. They signed Kirby Yates 1 year, $4.5 million. They signed Tyler Mahle 2 years, $22 million, and Andrew Kisner 1 year, $8.25 million. I don't know that they need anything though. Like it doesn't look like they need anything. They need a DH and maybe a 5 starter until Scherzer, DeGrom, and Mahle come back.
Yeah. And so like, okay, let Cody Bradford be the number five
Yeah, let whoever your
until
young kid is.
yeah. Dane Dunning, whatever.
Yeah.
Like Kirby Yates is a great pickup to kind of fill that bullpen hole that they
Mm-hmm.
lost, they lost Stratton and Chapman and Smith, like so that helps fill that. I feel like they could go out and get another like low end reliever to kind
Sure.
of like shore up that bullpen, but this is pretty. Despite losing all of that, this is still pretty much the same team.
Exactly. They lost all of these like tertiary role players that you can replace. But
Yeah,
the core of that team is really good, locked up, and kind of young. They're going to be good
yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, I mean
They're going to be
Simeon
good for a
Seager,
while.
Adolis Garcia, Evan Carter. If Evan Carter's the real deal, like yeah,
Yeah.
Josh Young too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
And
is
Jonah Heim, the catcher, he's good.
yep,
Nathaniel Lowe is still there. Like his team ain't going anywhere. Team ain't
yeah,
going anywhere. Going
yeah.
to give Houston a run for their money. All right, that concludes the American League. Let's jump over to the National League. We'll start with the Atlanta Braves. Hi, Frank.
Mm.
Nice to have you tune in. Their outgoing free agents: Kevin Pillar, Jesse Chavez, Yanni Chirinos, Colby Allard, and Joe Jimenez. I believe they signed Joe Jimenez back. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
to a 3-year deal, 3 year $26 million.
Gotcha. They also signed Ronaldo Lopez 3 years, $30 million with an $8 million club option for 2027. And old friend Luis Guillorme is now an Atlanta Brave, 1 year, $1.1 million.
They also signed Pierce by Johnson to a 2-year deal,
Right. They
14.25
signed
million.
him back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The trades we've talked about all three of them already, but now we want to talk about them from Atlanta's side. So they acquired Aaron Bummer from the White Sox for 5 dudes. They got Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom, and they acquired Jared Kelnick, Evan White, and Marco Gonzalez for Jackson Kowar, Cole Phillips, and then flipped Marco Gonzalez to Pittsburgh for a player to be named later. So they get Jared Kelnick to be their new left fielder. Let's start there.
Yeah. Look, again, change of scenery. He started showing the promise in Seattle that, we were hoping for in New York, and then he got hurt. Um, I think this is a great pickup for them. It allows Marcell Ozuna to be their full-time DH, get him out
Mhm.
of the field, and you're not relying on a guy like Eddie Rosario or Jock Peterson or more of a platoon guy. I think Colin could be the real deal in Atlanta, which pains me to say.
And the thing is, there's not going to be a whole lot of pressure on him either because this lineup is going to rake in front of him. He can hit seventh and be fine.
Yeah.
The rotation gets Chris Sale as a number 3, 4.
Four. They have him behind it's Strider, Freed, Morton, Sale, and Bryce Elder.
That's a good rotation.
Yeah.
Good rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Bummer to the bullpen. Their bullpen is still good with Iglesias and Minter and Pierce Johnson and all of these dudes that they signed. It's
I mean,
pretty good bullpen.
That bullpen is like, if everybody is healthy and effective, like, yeah, Iglesias, Minter, Ronaldo, Jimenez, Pierce Johnson, Tyler Matzik, Aaron Bummer, like that's a
lot of dudes.
That's
a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
The only thing I think they still need, I don't really believe in Orlando Arcia at short. I'd like to see them get someone else there, or maybe another starting pitcher just to like ensure that somebody like Bryce Elder is going to take off.
I know they've been talking about possibly having Ronaldo Lopez stretched out to be kind of like a long guy or a number 5, something like that.
That makes sense.
Also, Ian Anderson, he's come back from Tommy John surgery. He could be back at some point during the year.
It's a good point.
So that they're stacked. It's the Braves.
Yeah, they're going to probably win the division again this year. We'll see. Let's move to the surprising team this year, the surprising playoff Miami Marlins. What? Yeah. They lost the following: Joey Wendell, David Robertson, Yuli Gurriel, Garrett Hampson, and Jacob Stallings. They haven't signed anybody to a major league contract yet.
The only team not to do that.
However, they did acquire Vidal Brujan and Calvin Fauché from Tampa for 3 minor league guys. And they acquired Christian Bethancourt from Cleveland for a starting pitching prospect. They desperately need Jazz to put in a healthy season. If Jazz puts in a healthy season, he's probably 30-30.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they need starters. This is an interesting vacancy because Sandy Alcantara is now out with Tommy John.
Yeah. But it's interesting because they're still fielding calls about their starting pitching in the trade market because somebody wants another Pablo Lopez deal, and so Luzardo's name, Yuri Perez, like Edward Cabrera, all these guys are still popping up in trade rumors, and it's like I mean I know the Marlins keep kind of pushing these guys out of their minor league factory, but you're gonna need somebody to throw innings here without Alcantara.
Yeah. They need to have somebody take the ball every 5 days. I don't know who it's going to be just yet. There could be a trade coming, but we'll see. I'd like to see them actually sign somebody. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's time for our New York Metropolitans, sir. And
right.
we lost Carlos Carrasco, Luis Guillorme, and Daniel Vogelback. I don't think we miss any one of the 3 of them.
I don't feel like we lost them. No.
We signed Luis Severino, 1 year, $13 million. Joey Wendell, 1 year, $2 million. Austin Adams, 1 year, $800,000. Michael Tonkin, 1 year, $8 million. Jorge Lopez, 1 year, $2 million. Harrison Bader, 1 year, $10.5 million. And Sean Manaea, 2 years, $28 million with an opt-out after this year. So it really is up to him whether it's a 2-year or a 1-year deal. We traded away Coleman Crow, who's a starting pitching prospect, to Milwaukee for Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor. We need a DH. We need an outfielder. We need some starting pitching. We need something. We need a bat.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm having this. Okay, so I've been having this conversation with some of my other Mets buddies. I know they haven't made the splashy move that everybody wants them to make, but they made those before and they didn't work out. Scherzer and Starlin Marte and Verlander, they didn't work out. You bring in David Stearns. I like what he's doing. I like these kind of like almost Kansas City Royal moves. These 1-year deals, these short-term deals, while you figure out what you're doing this year, because come June or July, if they're out of it, you got to figure that Pete Alonso is going bye-bye. But if they're in it and they win it, then you keep Alonso, and you've saved all that money by not shelling out money for Otani and Yamamoto, you can sign Pete Alonso long term. So I like what they're doing. I think they have enough pieces here to be. They're not going to win the division, not with the
No.
Braves, but I think they have enough to find the wild card. I don't, other than the Dodgers, there's really not another team in the league that scares me enough to say that the Mets can't beat them.
I think this is a fourth place team. I think this is a fourth place team. I think we're punting 2024, hoping that we can lock up Alonso and then go after Soto in the offseason next year. I don't know, man. I don't like what this year is looking at for us. I think we're a fourth place team. I think this is going to be a bad year. Luis Severino and Sean Manaea, we're going to rely on those guys to throw 150 innings this year. Really?
But I mean, we've seen it. We've seen that when Severino does throw 150 innings, they're
When
150.
was this? When was this that this happened where people are saying, "Oh, Severino can do this. Severino's a good pitcher." When was he a good pitcher? 2019?
20.
2018?
Yeah.
That's 6 years ago, Jason. 6 years ago. The baseball landscape has changed a lot in
He
6
wasn't
seasons.
look, he wasn't terrible in 22. He threw 102 innings coming back from all of his injuries, threw a 3.18 ERA over 19 starts. It I,
Okay. That's
I
that's
don't
a flash. That's a nice little run there for 100 innings, but
he's
like
only 30. Like it's not like we're getting a 36-year-old washed up, at the end of his career. And we're not asking him to be Verlander or Scherzer. We're asking him
no,
to
but
be
we're asking him to be a 3.
yeah. I think he could be a 3. We're paying him 3 money.
I mean, it's $13 million. It's not all that much. It's Jack
That
Flaherty
and
money.
and that and
That's
that's
Kyle
what
Gibson
that's what this
money.
offseason has
Like,
been. It's these
yeah.
these not breaking the bank deals that can still help your team but not kill you in the future. I know in New York it's not uh, a popular way to go about it, but I like it.
Mhm. Listen, I think they're punting this season. I think if the Wilpons were still in charge, we would be calling them the coupons right now about how we're signing all of this mess and not doing something bigger. We'll see. I don't think this is a very good team as constructed. I need another bat in this lineup one way or another. So we'll see if we can get that.
Yep.
The Philadelphia Filthies. They have the outgoing free agents of Rhys Hoskins, Michael Lorenzen, Craig Kimbrell, Josh Fleming, and Aaron Nola. But they signed Aaron Nola back 7 years, $172 million. It's the only move they've made this offseason. They have
Yep.
not made any trades. They need Harper to be healthy, a left fielder, maybe, and a 5 starter, maybe.
Yeah. The 5 starter, I think I don't know what Christopher Sanchez is. I don't.
Exactly. That's why I say that.
Yeah. I know they have Andrew Painter is right. He's a guy, isn't he?
He had Tommy John last year, so he's probably
Okay.
coming back from it.
Okay. Then yeah, I would say like even a reunion with Michael Lorenzen like makes sense.
Exactly. This is exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking. Somebody like that, or Hyunjin Ryu in that same vein. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but this is a good team. Their offense is really good. They don't need to bring back Rhys Hoskins because they found their new first baseman in Bryce Harper. Um, yeah, I think this team's ready to roll. I think they're a wild card team. This is another team that scares me enough to make me think that the Mets aren't going to make playoffs.
Yeah. I get I agree. I could see it. But I could also see where like if Aaron Nola gets hurt, like this team falls apart. Because like
Maybe.
I don't think they have the depth to withstand like anything like that. So I don't know, but yes, I hear what you're saying, and yes, the Braves and the Dodgers, the Phillies, maybe.
Yeah. Finally, the Washington Nationals, they only had 2 outgoing free agents, Carl Edwards Jr. and Dominic Smith. They signed Dylan Floro 1 year, $2.25 million, and Nick Senzel 1 year, $2 million. They need everything. They need a DH. They need 2 to 3 starters, and they need reliever help. Kyle Finnegan was nice last year, wasn't he?
376 with 28 saves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was better. It's better than I thought it was, right? I
yeah.
in the preseason I was like, "Do you want those 15 saves with a 4.60 ERA?"
I actually think
So
I,
he's
I
better
actually
than
think
that.
that I actually think that Hunter Harvey could end up being the guy there.
Mhm.
He was hurt. He got railed. But he was looking really sharp in Baltimore. I think he could be a guy there.
Okay.
Um, and the Nick Senzel signing is interesting to me. I think this is a classic change of scenery guy. I've always
Some
liked Nick
man
Senzel.
crushes never die. You love
Yeah,
Nick Senzel.
yeah. I think in a team like this where, I mean, I know the Reds didn't have any expectations either, but there's no expectations in Washington. It's a new start for him. Look, why not?
Yeah, the same way Lane Thomas was good for them last year is how Nick Senzel could be good for them this year.
And like he's not fighting for a roster spot here. Like I feel like in Cincinnati, like they were moving him all over the place. He was in third base. He was at shortstop. He was at second base. He's
Played
their
some
third
center
baseman.
for a while, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's their third baseman. He's not going anywhere.
Okay. We'll move to the NL Central and talk about the Chicago Cubs. They lost Tyler Duffy, Matt Fulmer, Heimer Candelario, Shane Green, Brandon Hughes, and Cody Hewer. So a lot of their bullpen is gone. You would think that they would need to shore that up. They have not yet, but they did sign Japanese import Shota Imanaga, 4 years, $53 million. And the way this is broken down is pretty interesting. There are mutual options of $15 million each for 2026 and 2027, and a $17 million club option for 2028. So at any point, he could just become a free agent. If somebody's like, nah, I'm good. They
Yeah,
traded Jackson Ferris and Zahir Hope to the Dodgers for Michael Bush and Yency Almonte. I love this trade.
me
I
too.
love this trade.
Me too. For both sides, honestly. But yeah,
I love Michael Bush being the new first or third baseman in Chicago because I guess Matt Mervis isn't it, and they need to bring this guy in. And Bush was never going to get to play on the Dodgers. He was
no,
never going to get to play.
no. And he is right now pegged to be the starting first baseman. Probably platooning with Patrick Wisdom to start off, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how that goes. And it's funny because yeah, I had the Cubs as a landing spot for Reese Hoskins. I thought it made all the sense in the world.
And I think it
Uh,
still can be. I think they could sign him and move Bush to third and be okay.
they have Nick Madrigal there. Yeah, I think
Yeah, no,
Madrigal
they,
at this
they
point.
don't own Nick Madrigal shit.
Yeah, he could be a bench guy. So yeah, it's possible.
Mm,
I'm also hearing that look, there could be a Bellinger reunion there.
that's possible too. I would like to see that. That would be fun. I think they also need a starter. That rotation doesn't look all that great with having lost Stroman.
Yeah, it's interesting. It it could go really well or it could go really bad. Because I like Justin Steele. I don't like Jameson Taillon. The Imanaga deal, that's going to be the wild card there. I think.
Sure.
You know, Kyle Hendricks is now your four. Like, I don't know. Is there anything left in that tank? I don't know.
I don't know if there's anything left in that tank. I mean, that tank was already burning 88 miles an hour as fast as he possibly could throw. So I don't know how much is left there.
Yeah,
And who's
and
their
Jordan
five?
Wicks. Jordan Wicks.
I don't even know who that is. So
Maybe a Javier Assad. Um,
okay.
you know, eh, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, it's
They,
not
they they
great.
have Drew Smiley in the bullpen now. Um, but like I like Alzolay and Merriweather as like kind of the back end. Like that's pretty
That would
pretty
be
solid.
yeah. That's okay. Alzolay is the broken starting pitcher prospect that finally figured out a role. That'll work.
Yeah,
That'll
yeah, yeah.
work. The exciting Cincinnati Reds have the following outgoing free agents: Harrison Bader, Nick Senzel, Buck Farmer, and Reaver San Martin. They brought back Buck Farmer, 1 year, $2.25 million. Emilio Pagan, 1 year, $8 million with a player option for 25. Nick Martinez, 1 year, $14 million with a player option for 2025. Jamer Candelario, 3 years, $45 million with an $18 million club option for 2027. Austin Wins 1 year 950,000, and Frankie Montas 1 year 16 million with a $20 million mutual option for 2025. And they finished it off with Brent Suter 1 year 3 million with a club option for 2025. So they gave out all these deals and are like, if you guys want to keep playing with us after this year, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. The Reds, man.
I think they need an outfielder, but this team is so young that they need to like just grow and mature together. Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McLean, all of these young kids,
Yeah.
Encarnacion Strand, Spencer Steer, TJ Friedel. They're all just young kids that need to grow together as a team.
But I think that's the moves that they made speak to that. Bringing in veterans like Pagan, Nick Martinez, Candelario, Montas, like these guys to kind of like and again all on 1 year and maybe some more deals while this team grows and figured out who they are. You have these guys who can help you win now if you can do that, or if not, you didn't commit to a lot.
Right. I do love Jamer Candelario 3 years in that
Yeah.
ballpark. That's nice.
Yeah.
That could be a 30 homer dude.
Yeah, in that ballpark, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Milwaukee Brewers, they have the outgoing free agents of Jesse Winker, Victor Caratini, Darren Ruff, Josh Donaldson, Carlos Santana, Rowdy Tellez, Brandon Woodruff, and Colin Ray. They signed Colin Ray back 1 year, 4.5 with a club option for 25. Wade Miley, 1 year, 8.25 with a $12 million mutual option for next year. Joe Ross, 1 year, 1.75, and Eric Haas, 1 year, $1 million. This looks like they're cutting payroll and they're trimming back, and they're going to take another step back this year. They traded Mark Canada to Detroit. They traded Abraham Toro to Oakland. They acquired Jake Bowers from the Yankees. They acquired Taylor Clark from the Royals, and they traded Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor to the Mets for a minor leaguer. They need starting pitcher, a third base, and probably a first baseman too.
Yeah, and the other thing that they lost in this offseason is Craig Counsell, which I think is huge. Because now is it Pat Murphy is their manager? Like, I don't know. I think I like Craig Counsell was just such a stabilizing presence for that team.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what to do with this kind of like lack of a money situation going on. So yeah, I definitely think first baseman. I think they've been talking about Garrett Cooper, possibly
that would
coming.
be okay.
I think he would be a good fit there. But they have Jackson Chorio is their like the big prospect.
That's their new kid.
Can't wait to see what this kid can do.
Yeah, never taken it that bad in the majors. Got signed to a big old huge contract. So
yeah,
we'll see if he's able to right the ship and help keep this, because they've been in the playoffs for a good number of years over the last few seasons. So like you'd want to keep that going, but it doesn't look like they're doing that here.
They might also be. I don't know what their TV rights are, but like I feel like this Bally thing is really kind of clogging up everything.
A couple of, at least a few teams are getting kind of fucked by this.
Yeah.
One of those teams is not the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their outgoing free agents are Vince Velasquez, Osvaldo Bido, Thomas Hatch, Andre Jackson, and Andrew McCutchen. They signed Andrew McCutchen back 1 year, $5 million. They signed my boy Rowdy Tellez 1 year, $3.2 million. And for the same reason Carlos Santana was a value last year, Rowdy Tellez can be valuable this year. Martin Perez 1 year, $8 million. They acquired Marco Gonzalez from Atlanta, Billy McKinney from the Yankees, and Edward Olivares from Kansas City. I feel like they need a second baseman, an outfielder, and some starting pitching. How do you feel?
They need whatever they can get. But like, first of all, I love that both Rowdy Tellez and Daniel Vogelbach will have played for the Pirates, because to me they're the same player. Like,
that's great.
The Pirates just want these big giant first baseman lumberjack guys to play first base for them. That's what they want. Yeah, definitely second base looks weird. The Olivares trade could be interesting. He had some promise in Kansas City. I think he could be an interesting piece in that outfield. And yeah, the pitching, I mean, Martin Perez, Marco Gonzalez.
They've got guys that'll eat innings there. Marco Gonzalez will eat there and probably throw
Mitch Keller.
180 innings of not very good baseball, but he'll get it done.
Yeah.
They'll get through it, I suppose. It's going to be another ugly year in Pittsburgh, I think. Though maybe not as bad as previous seasons, with O'Neal Cruz being healthy, keep Ryan Hayes, Brian Reynolds. It's
Yeah.
David Bednar is still there. Like,
But I just
Zach Sawinski might be a guy, you know.
I don't think they're better than the Cardinals, and
No.
they're not better than the Cubs. They're not better. I don't know. The can they beat the Brewers? You think?
Maybe if especially if the Brewers do trade Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
Hmm? Yeah. Those
See.
aforementioned St. Louis Cardinals. Let's talk about their offseason. They have the following outgoing free agents: Drew Verhagen, Adam Wainwright. Did he officially retire?
He did.
Okay,
He now
so
works for Fox Sports.
good for him. Andrew Kisner, Jake Woodford, Juan Yepes, and Dakota Hudson. In free agency, they signed Lance Lynn. Welcome back to St. Louis. 1 year, $11 million with a club option for 2025. Kyle Gibson, 1 year, $13 million with a $12 million club option for 2025. And the big fish, Sonny Gray, 3 years, $75 million with a $30 million club option for 2027. Matt Carpenter, 1 year at the league minimum.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Let's hope you got anything left in that bat.
Yeah.
They traded away Tyler O'Neill to Boston and acquired Andrew Kittredge from Tampa. They need this group to gel. There's so much talent, and their roles are starting to now become clear. Where we were talking about last year, where it was like, there's like 7 dudes, and I have no idea where any of them are going to play. Right now, it at least looks like, okay, Jordan Walker is a right fielder. Nolan Gorman is the second baseman. Tommy Edman is the center fielder or the shortstop or whatever. Like Mason Wynn is the shortstop now.
Yeah.
Like everything seems to have their role. Now they just need to gel.
Yeah. Full seasons from Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar
Yes.
would be, is huge because those are two guys who can do a lot of good stuff if they can stay on the field. I think to me the interesting one is gonna be Paul Goldschmidt to see, he's up there in age. I'm wondering, we've seen a decline and then he comes back, and I'm wondering if this is gonna be another decline year. So we'll see.
I don't know. I like Goldschmidt for a bounce back year, especially at the diminished price, especially in these mock drafts that I've been seeing early on. Like Goldschmidt's going pretty late, and I like that. I could jump in on that.
Yeah, I probably have him like above Abreu, but to me they're kind of like in that same vein. Jose Abreu, like, they're both about 37, coming off, decline years. I don't know. But rankings aside,
I still like him and Arenado in the middle of that lineup with Wilson Contreras right there. It's gonna be a formidable lineup. I could see how it takes a big step forward. They could compete, but that pitching has to actually do well. Lance
yeah.
Lynn, Miles Michaelis, and fucking Kyle Gibson need to carry this rotation, and I don't know that that's gonna happen.
So with Sonny Gray and Steven Matz, yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, it's not great. It's not
No.
great. I like the Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray is such a polarizing figure to me because, like, I know he's coming off a couple of good years. I just feel like you call him the big fish. I don't know. I never looked at him as a big fish.
I think this is a great landing spot for him.
I agree.
Like I think he fits into this team really well, and I think
Yes,
he's going to do great there. I think
but I
he can
think
be the ace, but I don't think he's an ace that like can carry your fantasy team. I think he's just like going to be the guy who wins 16 games on that team every year.
yeah, give you 165 innings or whatever, and
Yeah,
no
of good baseball,
strikeouts.
not low number of strikeouts, but he's going to keep his team in it. He's going to win a lot of games. I think he's going to do fine there.
Yeah,
National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks. God, that's weird to say.
but I love it.
They're outgoing free agents: Tommy Pham, Evan Longoria, Kyle Lewis, and Lourdes Gurriel. They did sign Lourdes Gurriel back 3 years, $42 million, and opt out after the 25 season. and a $14 million club option for 2027 if he doesn't opt out after 25. They signed Eduardo Rodriguez 4 years, $80 million. He has a $17 million vesting option for 2028. That automatically kicks in if he pitches 150 innings in 2027 or 300 innings between 26 and 27 combined. He gets more money if he does 175 innings in 2027 or 350 innings in 26 and 27 combined. So it's a real like incentive laden final season for him to. And this is, you know what this is? This is Madison Bumgarner's money.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. But I think better placed.
Yeah. I mean, of course, but yeah, this is absolutely Madison Bumgarner's money. Like he is no longer on the team, and they needed to replace him with somebody. Here's another left-handed guy. Let's just use that.
Yeah.
They acquired Eugenio Suarez to replace Evan Longoria at third base. I like it. And they need the miracles to happen again. They need to go on this run. Do you remember when this team was like so terrible just a few years ago when they were on the road and lost like 27 some odd games in a row on the road? Yeah. And then they went to the World Series last year.
Yeah. And I don't see why they couldn't go back there again this year. I really like this team.
Really?
You know, Corbin Carroll at the top of the lineup is just he's a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Gallen worries me a little bit as an ace. I don't know what it is. I feel like he has the makings of like a Sonny Gray, where like he's like he's good, he's fine, but I don't know if he's like long term like ace quality. But for right now, like I like this team. I like the bullpen, I like the rotation. Like there's really no holes in this team.
Yeah. I didn't really find any holes either. I think they're going to compete, but I don't think they have a chance to win the division. Sorry. Just don't.
No. It's unfortunate.
Jason's hometown Colorado Rockies, usually rather quiet in the offseason. This season is no exception. They lost Chris Flexen, Brent Suter, and Chase Anderson. They signed a new battery of Jacob Stallings, 1 year, $2 million, and Dakota Hudson, 1 year, $1.5 million. And then they acquired Cal Quantrill from Cleveland. So 2 ground ball pitchers that they bring in and a really good defensive catcher. Team's still going to suck and finish last, but
yes, they will. But they have some fun pieces on this team now that I think who they came up last year. Now they get to
tell me about Nolan Jones.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you about Nolan Jones.
Man, Yahoo loves that guy.
Yeah, I do too. Look, he was a 2020 guy last year in really a half of a season more or less. And he played both corner outfield spots and first base. Like him, Hunter Goodman, I think is an interesting piece too. Look, no, they're not going to compete, not for at least another couple of years. But I think they have some pieces coming up that if they do it right, can make a difference.
I like Ezekiel Tovar. I like Brenton Doyle. I like Brendan Rodgers when he's healthy. But yeah, this team is not going to be good.
No.
They're going to win 60 games. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, this team is this team is worse than Pittsburgh, I think.
Ooh, that's a good one. Pittsburgh or Colorado win totals this year. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
We'll put that one up on the bet on the betting show when we get to that point.
There we go.
The team that is now known as the Evil Empire, I'm sorry, it's no longer the New York Yankees. It has moved west out to Los Angeles and resides in Chavez Ravine. They lost the following players, and it's a laundry list. Ahmed Rosario, Julio Urias, Shelby Miller, Enrique Hernandez, Jake Marisnick, Colton Wong, Jimmy Nelson, Ryan Brazier, JD Martinez, Clayton Kershaw, David Peralta, and Jason Hayward. Those were all guys who left the team at the end of the season. In free agency, they went ahead and signed Shohei Ohtani, 10 years, $700 million.
There it is.
700 million? That's a lot of dough. And 680 million of it is deferred. So he is making a $2 million freaking salary for the next 10 years and then gets $68 million a year from 2034 to 2043. I do not want anyone to ever utter the name Bobby
Yeah.
Bonilla to me ever again. I don't want to hear about Bobby Bonilla's contract when this exists. You got to pay this man 68 Brink trucks full of $1 million for 10 years.
Steve Phillips was the happiest guy on the planet when this contract went down because what you just said.
Like, insane. And not to be outdone, because again, we're talking about the evil empire. They import Yoshinobu Yamamoto 12 years, $325 million. What? That's $1 billion. Billion. Yeah, that's $1 billion worth of players in those two.
Yeah.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto has opt-outs available in 2029 and 2031, respectively. If he's this is the best. This is the best little clause I've ever seen. If Yamamoto suffers an elbow injury from 2024 through 2029, a $10 million club option gets tacked on the back end for 2036. If I have an elbow injury in 2027, you 9 years from now get another year of me. What? They weren't done. They signed Teoscar Hernandez 1 year, $23.5 million, which is actually only $15 million for 2024 because the remainder is deferred as $850,000 payments from 2030 to 2039. I still don't want to hear about Bobby Bonilla. I don't want to hear his name anymore.
No.
They signed Jason Hayward back 1 year, $9 million, and signed Joe Kelly 1 year, $8 million.
Not done.
They weren't done. They acquired Tyler Glasnow and Manny Margot from Tampa Bay. They traded Michael Busch to Chicago and traded Victor Gonzalez to the Yankees. That's an offseason, my friend. That is an offseason.
That's a lot of offseason.
So, what do they need at this point? Do they need Gavin Lux to be their shortstop? And do they need a starting pitcher to replace Emmett Sheehan as their 5?
I don't know that they need anything.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
Yeah, if Gavin Lux isn't a shortstop, well, they also have Miguel Rojas and Chris Taylor. If Emmett Sheehan isn't a 5th starter, well, they have Ryan Yarbrough and probably a boatload of guys in the minor leagues.
Yeah. Yeah, not Ryan Pepio, but Gavin Stone and there's
Michael
another
Grove,
guy.
right?
That's the one, Michael Grove. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, and plus also, I mean, I don't know if Dustin May or Gonsolin. The Gonsolin's not coming back, but
Gonsolin's not coming back, and Dustin May maybe midseason. I still feel like Clayton Kershaw is going to sign like a 1 year, $12 million deal at the end of the offseason.
But he's also out till at least June or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah. This team is probably going to be the best in baseball, and they're going to win 100 games.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about it though is that yes, on paper they are the team in baseball. By the way, also Walker Buehler's coming back. Yep. But what happens if and when they don't win the World Series?
I mean,
because you know teams get built like this and then don't win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And but like with the whole Ohtani and the Yamamoto, if they don't win the World Series this year, I just feel like it's gonna be like the spotlight's gonna be on them. Like
Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Will Smith, Max Muncy, James Outman. Like this is Teoscar Hernandez. Jesus Christ, Teoscar's in this lineup. It's gonna take some getting used to. Is that Teoscar Hernandez is in the middle of this lineup too?
Yeah,
this is a sick lineup.
Yeah, But yes, they're going to win 100 games. They're going to win the
But what
division.
happens when they don't win the World Series? Is it Dave Roberts' job to win the World Series? Is that is that the guy now that they replace? Because
You
he's
can't
been the
replace
best
Otani.
manager. Yeah, he's been the best manager the past 10 years at least.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a scary thought. If they don't win the World Series, if they don't win the World Series the first season, I think you can get away with it because Otani's not pitching.
Okay.
But if subsequent years continue to go and they still don't win a World Series, then yeah, I think you're looking at Dave Roberts might have to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting couple of years in LA. That's for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. Speaking of interesting couple of years, we have had an interesting couple of years at the San Diego Padres, and this is another team with this Bally Sports bankruptcy. They
Yep.
flat out dropped the San Diego Padres broadcasts last year, and MLB had to pick them up.
Yeah.
They also dropped Arizona's, who went on to go on to win the NL pennant. But I digress. Outgoing free agents from San Diego: Garrett Cooper, Josh Hader, Blake Snell, G-Man Choi, Gary Sanchez, Jurickson Profar, Drew Pomeranz, Luis Garcia, Rich Hill, and Tim Hill. It's 10 dudes. And they signed 2 foreign guys to come in. First, Yuki Matsui, a relief pitcher, 5 years, $28 million with an opt-out after 2026 only if he hasn't had Tommy John surgery or if he missed 130 consecutive days on the injured list. The $7 million player option for 2028 if he doesn't opt out or get injured. And finally, if he does have Tommy John or misses 130 consecutive days due to injury, the 2028 option goes from a player option to a mutual option. Who cares?
Complicated.
Yeah, this guy can be out of baseball by then. They also signed, I believe this is a Korean import, Woo Suk Go. 2 years, $4.5 million with a $3 million mutual option for 2026.
Yeah.
Nothing special there. But there's 2 new pieces of the bullpen to replace Hader.
And Garcia.
Yuki Matsui, if I remember right, led the Japanese league in saves for like the last 4 or 5 years consecutively.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's just he's really good.
Yeah.
They traded away Juan Soto and Trent Grisham to get Michael King, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, Drew Thorpe, and Kyle Higashioka, and then traded Scott Barlow to Cleveland. So let's talk about this new rotation that they've got.
Yeah. It's
yikes. It's Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Michael King,
and then Pedro Avila and Randy Vasquez.
Oh my God. Pedro Avila. Okay.
Yeah. With with Brito, they still have like Drew Thorpe, I guess, he's probably not ready yet.
No, these guys still need to finish. Brito could
Brito.
pitch. He pitched for the Yankees last year, so
yeah,
potentially he could be there as like a 6 starter or a 5 starter, but we'll see. I think they do need to go get a pitcher. I don't think you should be relying on all of these kids. I think they need a DH and an outfielder.
They have Luis Patino as well.
Okay.
He could be an interesting piece there. Mm-hmm.
He's back with them? Didn't he start there?
He was with Chicago. Tampa dropped him. The White Sox picked him up, and then the White Sox dropped him. They San Diego picked him up on waivers.
Yeah, but I think he was originally a Padre and got traded to Tampa.
That does sound right. Yes, he was.
Yeah,
he pitched all of 11 games in 2020 for them.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Well done.
They need an outfielder. They no longer have Trent Grisham or Juan Soto. So what's their outfield look like?
It's
Azakar.
It's Azakar. It's Tatis, and it's Cal Mitchell.
Sure. Whoever that guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need an outfielder.
Bryce Johnson. They picked up Oscar Mercado. Remember him?
I do remember Oscar Mercado.
Yeah. So they picked up that guy. Yeah. Matthew
It's
Batten as they actually have Matthew Batten as their third baseman, Machado DHing. Um,
sure that's not real.
yeah,
Machado's going to play third every day. He's a Gold
yeah,
Glove third baseman. Like you're playing that guy there every day. I
yeah.
think you go get a DH and maybe it's JD Martinez, maybe it's Jorge Soler, maybe it's nobody, and you just play like a shit team this year. Like I think they're gonna compete with like the Giants for third place in this division.
I, I their lineup is still pretty good, but I don't know. This team
It's top
is
heavy, man. It's really top heavy with
it's very top
Tatis,
heavy. It was
Machado,
top heavy last
and
year too. I
yeah,
mean,
and they didn't go anywhere last year either.
right, right. So third place, I think would be they would love third place.
I bet. I bet. Those San Francisco Giants, and is this the last one? Yeah, it is the last one. San Francisco Giants, they're outgoing free agents. Alex Wood, John Brebbia, Jakob Yunis, Jock Peterson, Roberto Perez, Brandon Crawford, and Scott Alexander. They signed Korean import Jung-Hoo Lee, outfielder, 6 years, $113 million with an opt-out after 2027. Tom Murphy, 2 years, $8.5 million with a $4 million club option for 2026. And Jordan Hicks, 4 years, $44 million, and they're apparently going to make that guy a starting pitcher. Okay. They traded DeSclafani and Haniger for Robbie Ray. I think they need a shortstop, a catcher, and starting pitcher is they need starting pitching badly because after Webb, it's Stripling, Harrison, Wicks, and some dude named Wynn. Like they need Robbie Ray to come back, and they need another guy.
Yeah, well, and he will. His Tommy John surgery was in May, so hopefully, maybe he comes back. Second half.
Yeah.
Um, Alex Cobb had hip surgery, so
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of banged up. Yeah, the pitching is not good. I mean, Ross Stripling is your number two. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
And he was
that's correct.
awful last year. He was
Yeah,
absolutely terrible.
Jordan Hicks to me is the wild card. Like he's like because we've seen he has had flashes both in the rotation and in the bullpen of
Mhm.
being a really excellent pitcher. He just can't stay healthy. But
Right.
he is only 27 still. Like I feel like he's been here forever. He's only 27.
Hmm.
They have him as the number 4. I feel like he has the potential to be the number 2.
And they always seem to find a guy somewhere along the way that actually outperforms anything we've ever expected. Harrison could be that guy. That was their like big prospect that came up during the season.
Yeah.
So I like that kid to take a step forward. Maybe he turns into the number 2 behind Logan Webb, but realistically, it's not going to be a good season for the Giants either. I don't necessarily like their lineup.
No.
Who do they have at short right now?
Marco Luciano.
Okay, that's their young prospect they've been sitting on forever
Yeah.
because Brandon Crawford just wouldn't die.
Yeah. um yeah, so I mean outside of getting anybody external, that's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible lineup. It's just not a great lineup either. It's
Yeah.
just
It always is, right?
right.
Like we're looking back on the more and more I look back on I think it was the 2021 season where they won 107 games.
Yeah.
You look at that season as the absolute outlier.
Yeah.
Everybody performed at 99% of what they possibly could. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is not that team doesn't exist. That team didn't exist. It was all smoke and mirrors. And it's why they lost in 3 games to the Dodgers in the divisional round.
The other interesting ad that they made this
Wild
year,
card round.
the other interesting ad that they made this year is they brought in Bob Melvin to be the manager
Yeah.
and to replace Gabe Kapler, which I think is an upgrade. He's been around, he's respected. Gabe Kapler, I nobody really liked Gabe Kapler. Bob Melvin is a really good manager. So I don't know. We'll see what he can do with this hodgepodge of guys.
That wraps it up for us. Now, do we want to talk about who's left on free agency at this point?
Because there is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Run it through for us, Jason.
All right. Some of the top names: Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, James Paxton, Carlos Carrasco, Reese Hoskins, CJ Crone, Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, JD Martinez, Jorge Soler,
Mhm.
Hector Neris, good friend, Aroldis Chapman, Clayton Kershaw, Justin Turner, Whit Merrifield, uh, Brandon Woodruff, Brandon Belt, uh, Adam Duvall, Liam Hendricks, Michael Lorenzen, and then the wild card, I guess, left. Trevor Bauer.
Trevor Bauer, Julio Urias is still a wild card to see what happens with that mess.
Uh-huh.
We'll see if either of those guys get a deal. There's a ton of free agents left to come, and they're gonna be signing fast and furious as spring training approaches in February. Can't wait to start doing these ranking shows with you, buddy. We're gonna kick those off next week, right?
I'm super excited. I cannot wait. I've been tinkering and going, just wrapping my head around these rankings. It's been an interesting experience, but I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely.
No doubt. Next week, check out first base rankings. And if you want to get in on it, let us know. We might be able to make some aggregates out of some other guys, but you got to come on the show. Got to come on the show. You can't just send me your rankings and be like, go ahead and use them. Or no, got to come on the show. Josh Haber, come on the show. Jason, thanks so much for doing this with me, man.
Absolutely. Dude, it's a new year. I'm ready for baseball. It's still winter. It's still cold as ever, but I'm ready for all that to thaw, and yeah, let's get some baseball going.
Let's get it going, boys. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Until next time, guys, you know what it is. It's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.